Well, let's go back to our bridge. Because hopefully Cassia is there and we can talk to her. And even if not, I think we could go back to the reliquary now that we have 5 people to unlock the hammer that was there. Is Cassia on the bridge somewhere? I guess we'd have to walk down here to see where people are. Argenta's here. Cassia and Uve. Hey there. A valet flinches at your approach. A silent greeting escapes his lips. Yeah. Cutting out your servants' tongues. That is definitely a thing. Ignatius.
Words cannot describe how boring the bridge is without our stimulating conversations.
Ha! Cassia offers you a reserved smile and waves at you in greeting. Tell me about yourself.
I am a part of House Orsellio, an ancient dynasty of the Navis nobility. Since time immemorial, our family has served to advance knowledge, pushing at the boundaries of the dark unknown. The Starway Atlas contains 2,843 routes that chart the sectors of the Segmentum Obscurus and reach all the way from the Koronus Expanse to Holy Terror.
Sorry, Cassie, but I would like to know more about you personally, not your family. I'll listen in silence. She can say what she wants to say, and then we can ask our questions. But cutting her off, being like, yeah, what you're talking about is boring and not what I want, is not the direction I'm going to go. So we'll listen in silence.
And uniting the Imperium's thousands of worlds. House Orsellio is bound by commercial pacts to houses Galeatis, Ortina, Drotus, and... There is a dark blue knot tightening on your neck, Lord Captain. I can see my reply is not satisfying your thirst for knowledge. What is it you desire to hear exactly?
Huh. Okay, so she still figured out that it wasn't what we were looking for. Then in that case, I will give the honest answer of, I want to know more about you personally, not your family.
You wish to know about me? I suppose I can help you with that. What would you like to know?
So you've never lived anywhere other than York 5?
Hardly. According to the chronicles of the house, I was born on one of the Orsellio worlds. Oh, what was it? Please forgive me, Lord Captain. My childhood memories are too vague. Sometimes I dream about the colorful birds that built their nests in the garden, or the servants dressed in purple livery, or the blue fog that rolled over the lowlands behind the palace. But everything is covered in a rosy haze. Perhaps it is my imagination, not my memory, that is painting these pictures.
Cassia absent-mindedly rubs her temples. Tell me about your life on the station.
My stay on the station was wholly dedicated to preparing me for my future duty. Astromancy, astrography, numerology, the histories of my house and the Imperium, as well as other disciplines. For many years, dozens of instructors tirelessly prepared me for my destiny. And once a year, Great Regent Alronto would come to the station. He would entrust his beautiful vessel to my command, so that I could master the practical aspects of our art as well.
Cool. So Great Regent Alronto is presumably who we are supposed to take her to, wherever elsewhere it is that she needs to meet the regent of their house. Also, it's nobilite, not nobilite, so the problem with not hearing words read out. Did you have friends, someone you could turn to for simple conversation, not a discussion of yet another lecture?
The regent gave me a bird from a sunlit planet once. I tried to befriend it and make it sing, but for some reason, it refused and died soon after. The instructors were too respectful of my duty to my house to waste precious time on idle chatter. Aside from them, There were only servants on the station. And you know they have their vocal cords removed, so they cannot break their vow of silence.
Cassia blinks in surprise, obviously taken aback by the question. Yeah, why would we assume that she would have conversations with people and make friendships when everyone has their vocal cords surgically removed?
And since the subject has been breached, Lord Captain, why do you not follow this honored tradition? Your decks are so garish. Apologies, I meant noisy. The rabble don't just chatter. Sometimes they shout and even sing. Why do you allow such a lack of restraint? Rogue traders are highborn, are they not?
You have a point. It's about time we made the decks quieter. I will have the lower ranks stripped of their vocal cords. No! Ruler cannot maim people just because it is in his power to do so. On the contrary, it is the duty of every ruler to look after his subjects. Yes. You may find it difficult to believe, but the practice of depriving servants of their voice is not particularly widespread outside of House Orsellio. I like the noise people make here. It fills the ship with life. I mean, that's also a good answer. But no, I'm gonna go with 2, even though it goes against her beliefs, probably. But it's the duty of a ruler to look after their subjects, not maim them.
Your words sound amazingly blasphemous. If a ruler's duty dictates the need for violence, would dispensing it not be their responsibility? I will contemplate your answer in solitude.
The young woman freezes in confusion. Your third eye, do you always conceal it? I mean, I would hope so that we don't get bathed in Imperium and die, you know. Do you always conceal it?
The navigator's open eye is baneful to whoever the warp's ruinous shine falls upon, and therefore it is the symbol of our power. We are the guiding stars of humanity, found worthy of an uncommon gift, and one of the duties that we bear is to guard our eye, even from wayward glances that may bear evil.
Hey, Hyperoac. Welcome from Germany. I'm in the US, so it's pretty far away. Hope you're enjoying the stream.
Besides, I am aware that lesser servants of the Imperium may find our appearance repulsive. The navigator gene twists the features the rabble are used to seeing, and the magnificence of our role cannot be grasped by their feeble minds.
Cassia hesitates for a few seconds and looks away. I mean, you definitely are changed from... Oh, right, we can see the full portrait. They're definitely changed from standard human appearance, although that could also be a Voidborn thing, because Voidborn are also a bit changed, even though they are normal humans. But you can tell she has, like, I think bit of a longer finger, but also mainly just the pale skin, the red eyes. I think they mentioned they have gills usually. So, yeah. You're beautiful, Cassia. Do not let anyone or anything convince you otherwise. Who cares for the opinions of the short-sighted rabble? They can serve us and die for us and keep their thoughts to themselves. You do not look repulsive, Cassia. There's a compliment there. You don't look repulsive. I cannot blame them. Navigators are mutants, albeit highborn mutants. You're beautiful, Cassia. Don't let anyone or anything convince you otherwise.
Lord Captain, you are overstepping the bounds of propriety.
Cassia falters, her pale cheeks turning pink from embarrassment. Probably we are definitely overstepping the bounds of propriety. I would not dare to make fun of a lady's feelings, especially not one who has captivated me since I first set eyes on her. I cannot help it. The sight of you brings only improper thoughts flooding into my mind. Do not take my words to heart. They were born of common courtesy. I mean, both of these are laying it on a little too thick. We just met her. So, yeah, Do not take my words to heart. They were born of common courtesy.
I see. Forgive me. I misunderstood.
Cassia frowns in confusion. I do know this game has, at least I think this game has romance options. Wouldn't surprise me if Cassia is a possible romance. But as we haven't met all of the characters we're going to meet, I'm certainly not deciding yet if I will go through the romance, and if so, who. What does it feel like to guide a vessel through the warp?
It may be difficult to describe. You see, every navigator perceives the warp differently. My mentor, Great Regent Elronto, always described his travels through the Imperium as a journey through a vast wood with countless paths. And I, assisting him in the first voyages, futilely tried to follow his example. But the wood would not reveal itself to me.
Hey Hyper, thanks for the follow.
But everything changed when I found my own key to this mystery. You see, I've always brightened up my rare moments of leisure time by painting. You may recall there was a workshop in my chambers. As soon as I imagined the warp as a blank canvas, an indescribable feeling came over me. I moved the brush, going deeper and deeper into my own painting. Visions were hidden within the vibrant colors of my palette, and something inside me knew which should be brought out and which should be left behind. I woke up several days later, after the voyage was safely complete.
Okay, so that's why she needed all of the paint supplies. The fact that one of her paint supplies has to be human blood of her servant is a little sketchy. Like, to me, that sounds super heretical. To intentionally use human blood in a ritual. But we also know that she's dogmatic, so... Because, like, there's a couple of the Chaos Gods that I could imagine encouraging people to use blood in painting rather than normal paints. So, that feels heretical to me. But it works. She's dogmatic, so I assume it's fine. I noticed that your love of painting is reflected in your speech as well. You associate many images with hues and colors. That is true. She has referred to several things as amber or being shaded with pink. Rose? I don't remember exactly what she called it. Anyway, yeah. She's tied various emotions and memories with colors.
The Emperor graced me with a gift. I can see inner life in addition to the mundane. You cannot know that a fruit has rotten from the inside until a blade slices it in two. I can see the rot from far away. It roils like swamp mud, oozing through the bright peel. Anger and boredom, sadness and joy. Everything that people shut away inside themselves is revealed to me like colors on the canvas of my world.
She also mentioned when we were leaving Uruk 5 that she wanted to leave because she could see something like the specters of ghosts hanging over the dead, or something like that. That there was something else she was seeing besides just the bodies, it seemed, that made her uncomfortable. So I think that's a similar idea to this. Well, why don't we talk about something else?
You will hear no objection from me, Lord Captain.
Tell me about House Orsellio.
As the only voice of our family on this vessel, it is an honor. As long as your questions are courteous, I will answer every one of them.
I take it House Orsellio has a rich history?
Oh, yes. The navigators of the house came to the Koronus Expanse fairly recently, a mere 208 years ago. Before that, our ancestors expanded the borders of humankind's dominion for the glory of the Emperor, blazing trails to different corners of the galaxy.
Okay. They came to the Koronus Expanse 200 years ago. Before that, expanded borders. So, did they not have a central location Obviously, they had a base here in the Koronus Expanse that's new, but they're still helping with spreading. Like, the Koronus Expanse, from what I understand, is like the Wild West, where we're kind of out in no man's land that's not really strongly tied to the Imperium yet. Like, they are nominally under the Imperium, but so distant that doesn't really feel like it, doesn't have the same oversight. So it feels like they are out here probably still blazing trails to different corners of the galaxy. But I guess she sees a difference. Who rules the house?
Just as a rogue trader stands at the head of a protectorate, a Novator heads a navigator house. It is the Novator who decides where to look for alliances and which path their bloodline is destined to tread. As for our house, the transfer of power to a successor is currently underway. In the meantime, Great Regent Auronto Orsellio is ensuring the stability of the house.
The young woman purses her lips slightly. So, they said that she was supposed to become the Novator. Probably she was seen as still being too young, which is why they have a regent over the house. Or there's some sort of, whether it's age or whether there's some like ritual she has to do, who knows. But that's probably what she's referring to now. The transfer of power is currently underway. She hasn't yet fulfilled the requirements to claim herself as the Novator, but I think she's going to be, which is why we need to get her to the Grand Regent, or the Great Regent, so that the transfer of power from the Regent to her can happen. I think that's what they're laying out here, but she's not wanting to clearly state it. Because when we ask who heads the house, nominally it's her. Like, it would either be her or the Regent. And she's intentionally avoiding telling us that it's effectively her once the Regent passed the authority off to her. At least I think that's how that's playing out. You lived in seclusion on a closed station until Felix committed his sabotage, so then you must be the Novator's successor. Yeah.
So, says Regent Auronto. Nothing is decided yet. Some people in the house become enshrouded in rolling grey clouds at the thought of me becoming the Novator. But even more are bound with dull leaden chains. They think I am not ready for such a burden.
Cassia avoids meeting your eyes. Okay, so yes, she is supposed to be the Novator, but she's worried because a lot of people apparently don't think she's ready or unhappy with the thought of her as Novator. Okay, with your permission, I would like to talk about something else.
By all means.
What does your special sight reveal?
Sister Argenta shines like a guiding star, inspiring resolve in those around her, seemingly inexplicably. However, I see a dark and ugly fog billow behind her, contrasting sharply with her shining light. It burdens the Sister of Battle. It drags her down. Yet Argenta herself is hardly aware of it.
Okay. We talked to Sister Argenta maybe not last time, might have been the stream before. Don't remember. She did tell us of her past, where she was trying to preserve a relic, but got injured and had to be pulled away and wants to go back to deal with it or something. I don't remember exactly what all was said, but that might be dark, ugly fog billowing behind her as some shadow of her past that she is trying to overcome. Because she herself does seem to be a shining light. If you focus on shining light meaning devoted to the God Emperor.
Seneschal Viserion is among the few whose colors are a pleasure to look at. Whenever the Seneschal speaks, heavenly crystal clarity spreads around him. and whenever he is angered, dark blue clouds condense over him. And in his rare moments of joy, a pure gleam of sunset pink caresses the souls of those near him. Out of your entire retinue, Lord Captain, he is the only one I would trust with my life.
Interesting. Cassia's stern gaze grows a little warmer. Well, that's a pretty good review, opinion of our seneschal from someone who can see who he truly is down to his core and speaks that positively of him. Not that I thought negatively of him, of course. He's been a great, upstanding guy who seems to do his duty very fully.
Idira's emotions are like a maelstrom, bright, unbridled, enveloping her form like a wondrous kaleidoscope of colors. And as dangerous as a twisting warp storm. The riot of colors hides the truth from my eyes. What exactly is driving this woman? Is it her own will, or is it the Imperium, Lord Captain?
Cassia hesitates. Okay. That we also knew. That she is constantly trying to shut out the myriad of voices. And that to some extent she is being directed by them. She doesn't control them. And I wouldn't say they necessarily control her, but they whisper to her, therefore guiding her actions, which may not necessarily go the way she plans, like with the death of Lady Theodora, where Idira thought that she would be able to see any big events, but then the voices kept it hidden from her, leading to the outcome that we saw of Theodora dying. Because Idira is not the one in control of that connection. And this is where I must beg my leave.
I have enjoyed your company. Thank you for the conversation.
And thank you for answering my questions. Okay, while we are here on the ship, we still were thinking that Voxmaster Vigdis might have been the other... we go to our journal. There was the confessions. We knew that the high factotum was one of them, and the choir master was another, but there was a woman's voice speaking through some muffling. Let's see. Lord Captain heard 3 unusual confessions that interested him. The first 2 seemed to be male, one lamenting the fate, blah, blah, blah. The third confession came from a woman and mentioned lop-eared kleppas. So, I was suspecting that it was referring to our Voxmaster. When you approach, Vigis pulls away from fine-tuning another Vox and bows her head. Lord Captain, the ship informed me of our imminent meeting. Lower your voice conspiratorially. The lop-eared kleppas, the confession? I assume you heard my confessional message, Vigis replies without a hint of awkwardness. Do you wish to talk about it? The important question is why, Vigdis? I want a pair of kleppas aboard the ship. Your confession perplexed the initiate. Find a way to delete it, and we shall forget about it. The important question is why? I was fault-checking the Vox devices in the ship's reliquary. Message recording works, but deletion does not. You have helped me establish that. Thank you. Wait, why lop-eared kleppas specifically? At the time, I had nothing to repent of, so I dictated an excerpt from an old letter to my mother. As you heard, it contained arguments in favor of keeping lop-eared kleppas on the ship. I can still recite it from memory. Huh. Do we want a pair of... I don't even know what kleppas are. I assume some kind of animal, based on Based on nothing, really. Lop-eared Kleppas sounds like an animal to me. I want a pair of Kleppas aboard the ship. Do I? I'm going to quote my mother's response. That is impossible. You see, the species went extinct several centuries ago. Vig's voice growing ever so slightly warmer. I'm very sorry, Lord Captain. There aren't any Kleppas to be had. I am a rogue trader. If I want something, make it happen. Your confession perplexed the initiate. Find a way to delete it, and we shall forget about it. Will do, Lord Captain. Would you like to discuss other matters? Have the Vox Spirits brought you anything interesting lately? Forgive me, Lord Captain. I have no information that would be of interest to you at this moment. That'll be all for now. I live to serve, Lord Captain. Okay, that is all 3 confessions taken care of. Not to the Lord Captain's quarters. Come on. I want to go elsewhere. Is it? Nope. It's going to be this way. I don't think there's going to be anyone else to talk to that we haven't talked to. I doubt any of our people have significantly new things to say, although occasionally we should go back and re-talk to them just to see if anything new has shown up. But let's go back to the shrine. Take everyone. Then over this way we can talk to the confessional guy and see if there's anything further to say based on those confessions. Alinki Initiate is leaning over the cogitator, an expression of extreme mental effort on his face, his fish-like round eyes peering into the screen. Grant me understanding, master, grant me wisdom. He winces as you approach. Your lordship, how can I be of service? I found the sources of the confessions. You have nothing to worry about now. Nothing indeed. I will pass the confessions on with a note regarding your personal involvement. The Initiate looks at you with equal parts astonishment and admiration. May the Emperor protect your lordship. And that's it. That is it. Okay, this one we need to go to a location. This is for our interrogator. Yes. New blood. It's the crew losses, and Machine Spirit is getting a new engines here. Do we have any rumors? We have a rumor of the Lord Inquisitor Xavier Calcazar. He's a powerful, mysterious figure who played a pivotal role in the fate of the Koronus Expanse. His power is so great that it extends even over rogue traders. Yes, but nothing further to go with that, and no contracts. Okay. Let's try and figure out this puzzle. I think we determined there are 5 pressure plates. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we'll put 1 here. There. The next one, I think we determined it was this one?
Sometimes, though, you just fire your biggest cannon and say yes.
Then we try here. No, that failed. So then we step everyone off of their respective buttons.
They say a little bit of humility never hurt anyone.
You here.
Better themselves by wholeheartedly humiliating them at
then
every step.
you step there.
The Emperor
Genta, you try this one. Good. Then Adira, try here.
Tell me jokes. Jokes that once said aloud make your...
Do you require an audience?
Cassia, last spot here. Nice.
Something of interest.
Something of interest indeed. Unquenchable Fury, one-handed melee weapon. It's a power weapon. Power swing, harsh shove, Maximum push distance of this maul is 5 cells, and any collision damage is increased by 50%. 30% armor penetration. Yes, so let's collect that. We only have one melee character at the moment, so Abelard, is this something you would be interested in? 8 to 9 damage is a lower damage than the Mars pattern sword. It's relatively equivalent with the chain sword. Much more armor penetration than either. Strike cost and strike count are the same. We would lose cleave but gain harsh shove. Harsh shove specifically does what? Costs 2 AP. This attack pushes the enemy away for strength bonus cells. So 4 cells in his case. And if he shoves them into a wall, it does even more damage. I think this is better than the other chainsword you have, just the basic chainsword. Probably he will attack with his sword most, but he can attack with the maul if the opportunity is good. Wait, power swing? Hello. What are you? Is that actually hitting everything around besides behind him? All creatures within the area of effect within 1 cell radius. Wide melee attack that hits additional targets on both sides of the attacker. So if he's surrounded, then he can just hit everyone. An extremely heavy power maul. Its handle is covered in litanies of fury, spurring the wielder to exterminate the enemies of humanity without mercy. Something to keep in mind. I think he is actually specifically trained, though, for chain weapons. Or did we not? We did not. Yeah, I don't think we have any... He's proficient with Melta, but I don't think we specifically gave him anything pushing him towards one weapon type over another. At some point, we'll probably want to settle on what weapons different people will use.
You are in the presence of House Orsellio.
Alright, testing. Is my mic working now? Alright, how long has my mic been having issues? And why does that keep happening? Okay. So I can't have anyone else pray, it seems. Seems weird. Oh, picking up the maul is when the mic went out? Okay, that wasn't too long ago. I don't know why my mic keeps having issues, but it is annoying. So I am using a Yeti Micro, Yeti Mini, Nano? Yeti Nano, Blue Yeti Nano, that's what it's called. Which is regarded as being a really good mic. So it's possible it's a problem with the mic, it could be a problem with the USB cable, could be OBS having issues, who knows. Unfortunately, there's not an obvious way of clearly defining what is causing the issue. So now we have to choose, do we go to the prison planet, which I'm guessing is where we're going to get more people for our ship, but not a new companion, probably. I mean, maybe it will, who knows. Or do we go to Rykad Minoris, which I think we heard was also having a conflict. But this is where we're going to get our tech priest based on the Machine Spirit Keeper quest. Or we also have these other locations that aren't, you know, showing up as major things to check out. I think we'll deal with the quests in the area and then check out the other side planets. Probably. So let's go to Rykad Minoris. That's, I think, also where their, like, planetary governor, system governor, whatever, would be. And so he would give us more permission about where to go to get more people. Rather than just going here and dealing with whatever we find. Lord Captain, there is some commotion on the officer's deck. The Lady Navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should find out what has brought Cassia to the deck. I think I shall. I don't want crew members shunning her. She's part of my retinue. Camera? Please don't keep doing this. There we go.
Captain, my apologies. I did not notice your entrance.
The Lady Navigator is engrossed in perusing the dusty tomes which appear to have been neglected by the other officers, be it because of sloth or dullness of mind. When you walk closer, Cassia looks up at you, starts, and hides a weathered book behind her back. Why are you hiding the book? You're totally allowed to read. It pleases me to see you adjusting to life aboard the ship. Alas, a title alone is not enough to hold everyone's attention all of the time. One of the book in Cassia's hand. I see you are fond of reading. What do you think you're doing down here? I did not give you permission to leave the bridge. No. I see you are fond of reading. We'll just point to the obvious. Oh.
This. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves. And I must say, it has caught my eye. Its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing.
Cassia carefully shows you the book, which turns out to be a collection of works by the Cadian naval commander and poet alias Quent.
Urak 5 had a vast archive of its own, of course. Although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works.
Cassia gently brushes the dust off the cover with her thin, clawed hand, her eyes filled with longing after reminiscing about her lost home. The events that took place on York 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you well? Your only attendant is your valet from York 5. Do my servants not measure up to your standards? I hope that you have had ample time to calm yourself and your powers. No, well, the events that took place on York 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you well?
One should not underestimate the navigators of House Orsellio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
Cassia's response is reserved and pointedly decorous, clearly intended to create a distance between you. Your only attendant is your valet from York 5. Do my servants not measure up to your standards?
No, it is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is well accustomed to my whims and preferences.
She nods genially to her taciturn servant. Was it Uwe? Wish there was a way to replay the audio so I could... Because she pronounced the name and I'm pretty sure I've been mispronouncing it. Cassia cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, then awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in the folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes the topic of gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising then that Cassia prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks. I hope that you have had ample time to calm yourselves and your powers.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis nobility. But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting.
Cassia tosses her head back and straightens. Well, I certainly wasn't trying to be insulting. I was just trying to make sure that she's okay. But yes, I can understand the problems of people who have never seen a navigator suddenly having one around, and also anyone who's been raised believing mutants are heretics that must be purged. First look at a navigator, because they are mutants, would get that reaction.
Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying. You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I.
After an awkward silence, Cassia frowns and purses her lips.
I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for a navigator to conduct herself.
Frightened by her own words, Cassia covers her mouth, pales, blushes, then pales again, and hides her face behind the cascade of snow-white hair. I'm beginning to think, Lady Cassia, that the feelings I have for you are far more complicated than common sympathy. You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad, and it is just as natural to share them with others. Quite right, so I would ask that you mind what you say from now on. It is indeed difficult for me to feel sympathy for a mutant. However, the crew's well-being hinges on that of its navigator. Man, that is harsh. I believe this conversation has reached its natural conclusion. You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad, and it is just as natural to share them with others. Again, I feel like this is diving into a romance option, but I don't think we know her well enough to decide that that's the direction we want to go. But I also am wondering if this not choosing these sorts of options will lock us out of the romance if we do want to go that route later. But I feel like just laying it on too thick right away is also bad. Because she seems to have a view of propriety of she can't have too close of a connection to the rogue trader, or really anyone else, it seems. She's intentionally trying to keep herself distant. And so something like this, of the feelings I have for you are far more complicated than common sympathy, feels too much. So yeah, you have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad. It is just as natural to share them with others.
Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station, of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here?
The primness of her expression cracks, revealing a great weariness beneath. And then she places a hand on her breastplate. That's called sadness, because people that you knew your whole life and looked up to, and even if you didn't understand what a friend were, to some extent were friends, are now dead.
At the same time, I find found myself overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that await beyond, but... my delight must seem childish to you, surely. In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
I would not dare to make fun of a lady's feelings, especially not one who has captivated me since I first set eyes on her. Again, cool your jets, man. I would rather find amusement elsewhere, perhaps in the privacy of my chambers. Wow. That one's even more forward. What I find childish is your manner of addressing me as if I were your friend, and your mistaken belief that anyone here would be interested in hearing about your emotional turmoil. Definitely not. I understand that what you're going through. My own life was turned upside down not too long ago. I'm not in the habit of finding amusement at the expense of my people. Just remember to keep your emotions in check. I'm afraid I must return to my duties. Most of these are quite terrible, so I understand what you're going through. My own life was turned upside down not too long ago.
Indeed. I did not know. That is to say, I could not have known, as it is the first time we are speaking in a circumstance so private. My word, when I found this place, it was so full of officers. Why did they all leave?
She glances around the room, growing somewhat sheepish. Yeah, they left out of fear of you. I'm sorry. If I may be so bold as to presume, my subjects must have found themselves overcome by your rare beauty, as have I. Dude, just all of these lines are just so over the top. I mean, I did refer to her as beautiful in that first conversation, but to just keep going on it would just be weird. Is it so bad that we are enjoying each other's company, or would you prefer to proceed straight to my chambers? Again, no. I do not tolerate idlers on my ship, and my officers know it well. Perhaps my people did not wish to disturb you. I'm afraid I must return to my duties. So we can't just tell her the obvious truth of, you know, you're an unknown and you're different, and so they, you know, left. Because I'm fairly certain that's what was going on, is she's clearly different and they worried her. But we'll give a false kind answer of perhaps my people did not wish to disturb you.
Or because my presence offends them.
Yeah.
Then I must take my leave as well. I am due to inspect the Sanctum Navis after the communion ritual and prepare the chamber for the upcoming warp jump. Thank you for your company.
I mean, we're not jumping to the warp anytime soon. So, obviously inspect your chambers the ritual chambers, but yeah, you've got time. We still have to pick up a Engine Seer Prime. We still need to pick up more people. We still need to find our interrogator. And then we'll be ready to actually do a warp jump. With an expression of courteous aloofness on her face, Cassia offers you a curt nod. Just all those options of, yeah, I know we just met and this is our second time talking, but do you want to go to my chambers? It's like, dude, moving a little bit fast. Back to the bridge. And then we can go back to what we were doing before, which is heading to Rykad Minoris. Try and find our Engine Seer Prime and figure out what's going on that planet, because I remember something about a conflict there, if I recall. Greetings, Lord Captain.